The story begins with Kazuya, a high school boy who has always cherished his late mother's kimono sash. One day, Kazuya wakes up from a nightmare and accidentally touches Chisato boobs, his classmate and childhood friend. After escaping her anger, Kazuya goes to the rooftop, where he kisses his late mother's kimono, and is comforted by the familiar scent of cherry blossoms. Suddenly, Kazuya is attacked by a possessed wig that knocks him off the building. And just as he believes he is about to die, the kimono sash transforms into a girl named Kiriha, who saves his life.
Oh, こりゃ死んだな。
愚か者。
In Japanese folklore, Kiriha is a Tsugumomo, an inanimate object that gains a spirit through years of relationship with its owner. An amasogi is a spirit born from a powerful evil desire. Kiriha fought against the amasogi and threatened Kazuya to become her loyal servant, or she would submit to their opponent. With no other choice, Kazuya agreed to become her servant and let Kiriha end the fight by breaking through the wig. After that, Kazuya accompanied the unconscious girl while Kiriha disappeared. Kazuya returned home exhausted. He immediately fell asleep and had another nightmare. When he woke, he found Kiriha sleeping beside him and screamed in shock. This caused Kazuya's older sister to run up the stairs and see the commotion. However, she did not find anything because she did not realize that Kazuya had hidden Kiriha under his bed. After his sister left, Kiriha angrily ordered him to buy her pudding. After dinner, Kiriha surprisingly joined Kazuya in the bathtub and offered to wash her back. It reminds her that they always bathed together in the past. At the same time, Kiriha makes fun of how much Kazuya's manhood has grown since then. That night, they slept together, and Kazuya remembered how he used to sleep with his mother's kimono sling all the time and smelled the scent of cherry blossoms, which managed to calm his mind. Even so, Kazuya was still uncomfortable sleeping with her. The next day, Kazuya was late for school because his alarm was smashed by Kiriha. Kazuya couldn't let Kiriha follow him to school, so he increased in a box and left her at home alone. However, Chisato punished Kazuya for not finishing his homework, so Chisato dragged him to the library. The two reminisced about how Chisato used to tutor Kazuya when they were kids, thus making Chisato ask if she could come to his house to tutor Kazuya. Unfortunately, Kazuya refused for fear of Kiriha's identity being revealed. After they finished their homework, the two suddenly found themselves trapped in the library even though Kazuya had tried to smash the doors and windows there. At the same time, Kazuya saw Kiriha in the library, because they couldn't get out of the library. Finally, Kazuya was forced to introduce her to Chisato. Then Kiriha explained that Tsukumogami is divided into two, Tsugumomo and amasogi. Tsugumomo is born from objects or equipment after years. Meanwhile, amasogi is born quickly from human feelings. They are trapped in the library because of amasogi, and they must find the source. Kiriha mentions that only fools try to smash the doors and windows. Kiriha uses a kimono hanger from her hair string to detect the presence of amasogi or other spirits. Unfortunately, it reacted to all the books in the library. Since the plan didn't work, Kiriha decided to take the more sensible action of destroying the door. Having the barrier destroyed worsens the situation as the library turns into a giant book golem. When Kiriha fights back, she notices that the books protect Chisato and realizes she is the amasogi's source. Kiriha tells Kazuya that he must fulfill Chisato's wish to free them. Kazuya then rethinks Chisato's wish and decides to ask her if she wants to come to his house to teach him again like before.
今度、僕の家で勉強を教えて。はい。
That succeeded in getting the library back to normal. The incident was a good experience for Kazuya, so he understood amasogi. Chisato visited Kazuya to teach him the next day, but she found him in bed with Kiriha. Chisato immediately chastised him for indecency, and afterward, Chisato apologized for causing trouble in the library. Kiriha assures her that it wasn't entirely her fault because amasogi was created by a very high concentration of evil energy that should never have happened, and the blame lies with Kukuri, the local deity responsible for it. The next day, Shiru, one of Kazuya's friends, meets Kokayu, a big-breasted shrine girl. Hoping to taste her big melons, Shiru invites her out for lunch, but Shiru soon regrets it because Kokayu drains his wallet by ordering all the menus. The next day at school, Shiru attacks Kazuya because he blames him for the problem the previous day. Moments later, the students realize that others have eaten their lunches, but it doesn't take long for them to realize that Kokayu is the culprit. Shiru angrily asks her to return the money or let him squeeze her boobs. But Kokayu has no money, so she gives him her boobs to pay for it. She then orders Kazuya to accompany her to see Kyukuri, the water god, and tells him that his washcloth must remain behind. Kiriha gets angry at mentioning the washcloth. She challenges her to an arm wrestling match and says that if she wins, she must go with Kazuya to see Kyukuri. After agreeing to the terms of the duel, they go up to the rooftop and change into the sports uniforms that the boys favor. When the duel begins, the two girls engage in a one-handed melee fight that is deadlier than arm wrestling. After a fierce exchange of blows, Kiriha finally wins, so Kokayu leads them to a shrine where Kyukuri lives. Kyukuri greets them while wearing a strange mask. After introducing herself, Kyukuri asks Kazuya to be an exorcist and explains that he can attract curses. Of course, Kazuya was surprised to learn that he was the source of disaster for everyone. Kiriha refuses to put him in danger as they try to leave, but Kyukuri traps them inside the barrier, forcing them to fight Kyukuri. Kiriha tried her best to fend off the attacks of the water god, but her attacks were too strong. Kiriha tried to find an opportunity to remove Kyukuri's mask to make the barrier disappear, but Kyukuri had already realized her plan and managed to attack her until Kiriha was seriously injured. In addition, Kyukuri also used one of her most powerful spells on them. Minazuchi. Kiriha's defenses were shattered, and Kazuya fainted. He spoke to his mother, who instructed him to fight alongside Kiriha by calling out her true name, and Kiriha would obey. When he awoke, Kazuya immediately called out her true name, which allowed her to return to her true form. Aruji, Kagami Kazuya ga meijiru. Genkei ni modore. Aya Sakura! Allowing Kazuya to use it as a weapon. Kazuya could master her ability quickly and defeat the water dragon, even mimicking his mother's signature drill technique. Kazuya's attack is so powerful that it destroys Kyukuri's defenses, but Kyukuri captures Kiriha and threatens Kazuya to accept becoming an exorcist, or she will tear her rags. To save Kiriha's life, Kazuya has no choice but to agree. Suddenly, Kyukuri's mask came off, making him a chibi shape. Upon seeing this, Kiriha immediately mocked Kyukuri, and then Kyukuri explained that this was all just a test so that Kazuya could master Kiriha's power. Kiriha was upset at being tricked by her, so she threw Kyukuri to vent her frustration. On the way home, Kazuya promised Kiriha that he would try his best to become a strong exorcist to keep her safe. The consequences of the previous battle made Kiriha's body into a chibi form until her strength recovered. A few days later, Kiriha decided to train Kazuya to be an exorcist, but she was frustrated when Kazuya could not replicate his skills during their fight with Kyukuri. Kiriha explained that it was important for him to learn to use her as a weapon, as spirits like her were much weaker in human form. The next day at school, Kazuya is summoned by the student council president. He asks Kazuya and Kiriha to investigate a series of mysterious phenomena. He summoned the Minotaur by drawing him in a notebook possessed by an evil spirit and ordered him to attack Kazuya and Kiriha to force the student council president to recognize the game association as an official club. Unable to fight the Minotaur directly, they try to erase the Minotaur with a fire extinguisher. Despite their success, Nakajima summons another Minotaur to continue fighting them. However, Osamu manages to steal the notebook and draws a more powerful salamander to defeat the Minotaur. Check this. After their victory, the group agrees to destroy Amasogi's notebook, but before doing so, Osamu uses it to draw an adult version of Kiriha, who ends up beating Kazuya. Then, a student named Hiroshi confessed his love to Chisato, but she rejected him because she was already in love with someone else. After hearing this, Kazuya asked what kind of person Chisato liked. Chisato blushed, not wanting to tell him that even though she actually liked Kazuya. At the same time, Kiriha finds a doll in Chisato's bag. It seems the doll is a memory of her childhood with Kazuya. On the other hand, Hiroshi felt upset when his love was rejected. He spent his time playing dating games, and suddenly, a strange phenomenon occurred. The next day, Kazuya is surprised that the whole school has been turned into a dating game because of Amasogi, who made things worse. Hiroshi and Chisato seem to be getting closer than ever, which makes Kiriha realize that Hiroshi must be the source of this Amasogi. When Kazuya tries to make her realize this, Chisato slaps him to defend Hiroshi. Kazuya then realized that to save his childhood friend, he was forced to compete with Hiroshi for Chisato's affection by playing the game. Unfortunately, none of it worked. Kazuya's dialogue choices went according to plan, but Chisato ended up hating him even more.
裸でいられても困るし、裸を見せられる関係、最低。
Kazuya then asked Osamu for help to win Chisato's affection, and together they abused the NTR combo that could help Kazuya win the game. When Hiroshi was about to ask Chisato out under the cherry blossom tree, Kazuya interrupted him by taking 2 dolls from his backpack.
これでまたおままごとしよう。
He tells Chisato that he wants to play with her like they did as kids. Thanks to this, Chisato's affection increases to the maximum level as she recalls memories of playing house with Kazuya in kindergarten. After that, Kiriha and Osamu chase Hiroshi to destroy Amasogi, while Kazuya and Chisato rest in the school's health room. When Kiriha and Osamu finally catch Hiroshi, he reveals that he is playing a dating game on the PC in the computer lab. Osamu realizes that Hiroshi unknowingly used the PC version of the dating game, which turned out to be the adult version. Meanwhile, Kazuya is tied to the bed by Chisato, who is determined to make love like an adult. Unfortunately, Osamu and Hiroshi managed to destroy Amasogi just in time so that nothing happened between them, and they decided to keep what they had done a secret. Kyukuri's shrine had been destroyed in a previous fight, so she moved to a park and set up her shrine there. While Kazuya went to buy pudding, Kiriha and Kyukuri chatted while building a sand dam until 2 boys came to break it. This annoyed Kiriha and chased them, so Kazuya took the 2 girls home to clean up. But while in the bathroom, they continued their little fight, which lasted until both of them passed out from exhaustion. After that, Kyukuri returned home, and Kazuya brought Kyukuri some pudding. They were surprised that their temporary shrine had been demolished as it was considered a danger to children. Kiriha feels sorry for them and invites them to stay with Kazuya, initially met with opposition from Kazuya's sister and father. But Kazuya's father quickly changes his mind when Kiriha threatens to blackmail him with an embarrassing love letter he wrote to Kazuya's mother when they were teenagers. Sometime later, Kazuya discovers that Shiru has become very popular among girls. They soon realize that Shiru has been using amasogi perfume, making the wearer popular among girls who smell it. When the boys at school hear about this, they all fight to have it. Kazuya and the others try hard to protect the perfume and take Shiru away to the roof. Kazuya convinced him to destroy the perfume, but it bounced off and spilled onto Kazuya's body. The effect soon becomes apparent as he runs home after being chased by several girls all over town. When he arrives home, Kazuya is relieved to see his sister still acting normally nearby, so he jumps into the bathroom to eliminate the smell. However, he was followed by his sister, even one by one. The girls in the house entered the bathroom. They clean Kazuya's entire body and try to take off his virginity. Kazuya has no choice and destroys the perfume to get rid of the situation.
この事態を乗り切るにはもう
As a result, the next day, Shiru begins to emit a foul odor for a week due to not destroying the bottle properly. Kazuya and Kiriha always practiced fighting with Kyukuri. Although he could bring out his abilities, his response was too slow, so Kyukuri could defeat him easily. The next day, Kazuya, Chisato, and Osamu were called by the student council president to investigate the appearance of Amasogi in the form of a girl named Nago, who had committed suicide 2 years earlier. During the investigation, they meet Nanako, a member of the school newspaper club who is also investigating the same case. Suddenly, Nago appears and attacks the group, but she manages to escape after Kazuya manages to fend off her attack. They continued their investigation and found clues about Nago's younger sister registered at their school under Nanako. Knowing that they raced to find her, Kazuya eventually confronts her. Nanako then explains that she was devastated by her sister's death after finding a lock of her hair turned into amasogi. She blames her sister's death on the students who bullied her, but when Nanako reads Nago's last letter that had been hidden from her, she learns that Nago committed suicide because of the amasogi that began to grow in her chest and immediately demands Nanako's death. She says that Nanako should not be allowed to live because Nanako will take everything away from her, including her lover. Nanako is a precious little sister, so Nago ends her life to save her. Nanako is heartbroken that her sister died for her. Suddenly, Nago transforms into a stronger amasogi that feeds on Nanako's negative energy. Kazuya struggles to fight her. Having undergone training, Kazuya is stronger and his attacks are faster. Eventually, Kazuya defeats the amasogi. Kiriha then encourages Nanako to try to find a reason to live because if she wants to die, her sister's death will be in vain. Then Kiriha praises Kazuya's ability, and simultaneously, a mysterious girl looks on from afar. Kazuya and the others explain the previous incident to the student council president, and then Nanako came to meet them by showing a small blackboard that she could no longer speak. They realized it was a curse atonement because her amasogi was destroyed by someone else. Kazuya apologizes to her, but Nanako doesn't mind and says it's all her fault. When Kazuya wants to go home, suddenly attacked by Sonow, another curse exorcist. Kiriha tries to strike back, and Sonow is forced to reveal his partner Kotsu, who turned into a katana. She then says she is disappointed in Kazuya's fighting skills and calls him unworthy of being a curse exorcist. The four of them then head to Kazuya's house, where Kyukuri explains that she has given Sonow permission to test Kazuya's skills. Sonow explained that when she was a child, Kazuya's mother had killed Amasogi, who was responsible for her brother's death, thus depriving her of her chance for revenge. She became fixated on defeating Kazuya's mother but could never match her in battle. This is why she was disgusted by Kazuya's lack of experience and unfit to be his mother's replacement. Hence, Sonow challenged him to a duel. That night, Kazuya became depressed as he reflected on all the trouble caused so far. He felt that it was best to let Sonow be his mother's substitute, but Kiriha became impatient with him and forced him to get naked. Kiriha started encouraging him to fight by assuring him that she would always be by his side no matter what. Kiriha even told him that she would give him a gift if he won. Suddenly, Kiriha reverted to her adult form, and the two started thinking of a plan to win the upcoming duel. Kazuya and Kiriha spent several days practicing to prepare themselves against Sonow's sword techniques, as their cloth powers were naturally disadvantaged against swords. Meanwhile, Sonow also practiced with her local god and became convinced that there was no way she would lose, even though Kotsu warned her not to underestimate Kazuya. Kyukuri was going to watch their fight, but she couldn't allow both of them to get hurt, so she used a water puppet. It transferred their wounds to the doll. If the water doll was destroyed, it would lose. As the day of the duel arrived, Sonow thought about Kazuya not being worthy of being his mother's successor, while Kazuya thought about his responsibility to drive the Amasogi around and wanted to convince Sonow that Tsugumomo was a valuable partner, not a tool. The duel began. Kazuya immediately attacked with a new puppet technique designed with Kiriha. But Sonow penetrated him, and as the fight continued, Sonow found herself increasingly pressured by Kazuya's new technique. Sonow managed to withstand the attack and launched successive attacks to put Kazuya under pressure. Kazuya tried to keep Sonow at a distance to formulate a new plan, but Kazuya made a mistake, leaving Kiriha injured. Sonow immediately used the opportunity for a final attack. Unexpectedly, her attack was successfully diverted by Kazuya's hand-weaving technique, and he immediately counterattacked. Kotsu warned her about conserving her spirit energy, but she ignored him. The fight suddenly stopped as both fighters had reached their limits. Despite being stronger with his ranged attacks, Kazuya told Kiriha he was unwilling to play it safe. He wanted to defeat Sonow fully to prove that Kiriha and Kotsu were more than just tools. Kazuya attacks her, and Sonow concentrates her spirit energy on using the Wind Cutter's secret move. At the same time, Kazuya and Kiriha become one, his hair shining white and his eyes bright red. This was called divine possession, which could only be used by highly skilled exorcists. Kazuya wrapped his hands in cloth to deflect Sonow's attacks, and the two continued exchanging blows in deadly close combat. Kazuya finally broke Kotsu and used his final move to end the fight. Kazuya was declared the winner, while Sonow graciously accepted defeat and learned to appreciate Kotsu more. As they said their goodbyes, they decided to go home to celebrate, but Kazuya fainted due to exhaustion as a side effect of using divine possession. That night, Kiriha remembered that she promised Kazuya to reward him for winning, so she stripped him naked and slept together. The next day, her mother confirmed that Sunow was the successor of the Tsukumogami family. But Sunow attacks a boy suddenly, forcing him to fight, and Sunow loses against him. As a punishment, she cannot inherit the house and the sword flow, but her mother will allow her to inherit it as long as Sunow must marry Kazuya, surprising her. And this anime will continue to the second part. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.